Everyone gets angry, but what truly sets people apart is how they handle that anger. With an angry alpha man, you know exactly what's coming. You see it on his face. You hear it in his voice. You can feel it in the atmosphere before he even opens his mouth. With a Sigma man, it's completely different. You don't know what he's planning. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know whether he's silently processing everything, observing with cold detachment, or preparing his next move with a level of precision you could never anticipate. And that, precisely that, is what makes him so difficult to deal with when someone crosses his boundaries. The Sigma doesn't get angry easily. He's reserved. He's calm. He can tolerate far more than most people imagine. But if you truly strike a nerve, things start to get very interesting. These are the 10 terrifying things a Sigma man does when he's truly angry. The first reaction is also the most unsettling because it's the last thing most people would expect from someone who is furious. Number 1. He turns silence into his deadliest weapon. When most people get angry, they explode. They yell. They insult. They react. They let emotion make the decisions for them. The Sigma does exactly the opposite. He goes silent. Not the awkward silence of someone who doesn't know what to say. A deliberate silence. Calculated. Loaded with something the other person can feel but can't quite name. And that silence does something no amount of yelling ever could. It shifts the entire weight of the situation onto the other person. Because when the Sigma stays silent, the other person starts talking too much. They start justifying themselves without anyone even asking. They begin filling the silence with words that reveal exactly what the Sigma needed to know. While the other person talks, the Sigma listens, analyzes, stores everything away. His silence isn't passivity. It's emotional intelligence in its purest form. He says nothing because he knows that in that moment, his silence says more than any response ever could, and the person who provoked him is left with a question they can't get out of their head. What is he thinking? That uncertainty is exactly what the Sigma wanted. Silence isn't his retreat. It's his first move. But silence doesn't last forever, and when the Sigma finally speaks, what he says can be devastating. Number 2. He becomes brutally honest, with no filter. The Sigma is usually reserved, selective with his words, careful about what he shares. But when someone truly makes him angry, that restraint disappears, and what comes out has no filter, no insults, no yelling, no drama, truth. The things he observed for weeks or months but never said because the conflict wasn't worth it. The patterns he noticed and silently stored away. The inconsistencies he saw but chose to let slide. All of it comes out at once, with a level of precision that completely disarms the person listening, because the Sigma didn't improvise that honesty. He's been holding on to it for a long time, and when he finally lets it out, he doesn't do it to hurt someone. He does it because he has reached the point where keeping it inside no longer makes sense. He says exactly what he thinks. No beating around the bush, no sugarcoating. No worrying about how it will be received, and that unfiltered honesty, which contrasts so sharply with his usual reserved nature, is one of the most unsettling things someone who thought they knew him can experience. Suddenly, they realize the Sigma saw far more than he ever showed, and that he stayed silent by choice, not because he was unaware. That honesty is only the surface, because underneath it, something else activates when the Sigma reaches his limit. Number 3, he becomes a force no one saw coming. The Sigma doesn't look for conflict. He prefers to stay unnoticed, do his own thing, keep a low profile, avoid unnecessary attention. But when someone pushes him too far, something changes inside him. His silent observation mode gives way to something completely different. He becomes focused, determined. He gains a level of clarity about what he wants to accomplish that very few people possess even on their best days. While others respond to conflict with impulsive aggression, the Sigma responds with strategy. He analyzes, he plans, he identifies exactly what he can do and when to do it for maximum impact. He doesn't act from emotion, he acts with precision. And that makes him far more formidable than any impulsive reaction, because an impulsive reaction can be anticipated, it can be redirected, it can be ignored. A calculated move, executed at exactly the right moment, is almost impossible to counter. The Sigma isn't the person you need to worry about when he's yelling. He's the person you need to worry about when he's completely calm, because when he's calm, he's already finished calculating. But the Sigma also knows when a battle isn't worth his energy, and when he makes that decision, it sends a message more powerful than any confrontation ever could. Number 4, he walks away. No drama, no explanations. Some people, when they get angry, need to resolve everything right then and there. They need the final argument, the last word. The confrontation that gives them closure, not the Sigma. When he decides that a situation no longer deserves his energy, he simply walks away. No announcement, no dramatic goodbye, no speech the other person was expecting. He simply removes himself from the dynamic, and that silent withdrawal can be devastating in a way no confrontation could ever be, because it leaves the other person with questions they can't answer. Is he angry? Is it over? Is he coming back? What is he thinking? The Sigma doesn't give them answers because he doesn't owe them answers. He understands something very few people do. Walking away isn't losing. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful move available. It proves that he isn't a slave to his emotions or to external circumstances, that he can choose when to engage and when not to, and that ability to disconnect, to prioritize his peace of mind over winning an argument, is a lesson in emotional maturity that most people will never learn. The Sigma doesn't need the other person to understand why he left. He just needs to leave. And when he walks away, what happens inside him is something very few people ever get to see. Number 5, he asks himself whether the other person can handle who he really is. The Sigma is aware of his own intensity. He knows that when he's truly angry, the energy he projects can be overwhelming for people who aren't used to seeing him that way. And that awareness makes him hesitate, not because he's weak, but because he understands the weight of his own emotions. He asks himself whether the person who provoked him is truly prepared to see that side of him, whether they have the maturity to handle it, whether the relationship can withstand what would happen if he removed every filter. And sometimes, that question makes him hold back, not because he's wrong, not because he doesn't have the right to react, but because he understands that with great power comes great responsibility, and he would rather not unleash something the other person can't handle, if doing so won't lead anywhere useful. This ability to regulate himself even in the middle of intense anger may be the clearest sign of his level of self-mastery. While the world around him loses control, the Sigma keeps choosing. But if he decides to let everything out, what comes next can have permanent consequences. Number 6, he forgives, but he never forgets. The Sigma doesn't hold grudges out of spite. He doesn't need other people to suffer in order to feel better. Once he calms down, he can genuinely forgive. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And for the Sigma, those are two completely separate things. Forgiveness gives him inner peace. It allows him to release the emotional weight of what happened and move forward without letting it consume him. But his memory, the memory that stores every detail of every interaction, doesn't erase what happened. It records it, catalogs it, and uses that information to adjust how he will deal with that person in the future. The Sigma believes in second chances, but not third ones. If someone lets him down once, he might let it slide, but cautiously. If they let him down twice, the door closes, firmly, permanently. No drama, no speech. It simply closes, and the person on the other side can knock all they want. The Sigma has already made his decision, and when the Sigma decides, his decision doesn't change. Even at his most intense, there is one thing the Sigma never allows to take control. Number 7, he never lets his ego take center stage. Anger can inflate the ego. It can make everything revolve around who is right, who wins, who comes out looking better, who can humiliate the other person more. The Sigma doesn't fall into that trap. Even when he's furious, he maintains a level of self-awareness that prevents anger from turning him into someone he isn't. He doesn't create unnecessary scenes. He doesn't look for an audience. He doesn't dramatize things to gain sympathy or validation, because he understands that dramatic displays solve nothing. They only distract from the real problem and damage his credibility. The Sigma would rather appear vulnerable than arrogant, if that means staying true to who he is. He would rather admit that the other person has a point, if that's the honest truth, than win an argument at the expense of his integrity. His self-control doesn't come from false pride. It comes from genuine humility, and that humility, visible even at the height of his emotional intensity, is what makes the people who truly know him respect him deeply, not because he's perfect, but because he knows himself. After the storm, the Sigma does something many people misunderstand. Number 8, he retreats into his own world and closes the doors. When his anger comes from someone he trusted, from a betrayal or a level of disrespect he never expected, the Sigma doesn't respond outwardly. He withdraws. He closes the doors, shuts out the noise, and enters an internal process that can last for hours, days, or even weeks. It isn't depression. It isn't weakness. It's simply how he operates. The Sigma can't let something go until he fully understands it first. What exactly happened? Why did it happen? What signs did he ignore? What can he learn from this so he can read people better in the future? He analyzes every angle, connects every dot, builds a complete understanding before deciding how to move forward. And when he finally emerges from that period of withdrawal, he comes back different. Not wounded, not resentful, clearer, wiser, better protected. That internal process of recharging and recalibrating is exactly what allows him to remain so difficult to bring down, because he doesn't react from the wound. He responds from understanding, and he turns that understanding into fuel for something completely unexpected. Number 9, he channels his anger into something productive. The Sigma doesn't waste energy, not even the energy of anger. When he feels that emotional intensity, instead of directing it outward at the person who provoked him, he directs it inward, towards something he can control, towards something he can build. A brutal workout where he pushes himself to his limits. A project he has been putting off for a long time and now has the perfect energy to attack. A task that required a level of intensity he normally couldn't sustain. Anger, when properly channeled, is one of the most powerful fuels there is. And the Sigma knows it. Instead of regretting tomorrow what he said today in a moment of rage, he turns that fire into something he can look at with satisfaction tomorrow. Other people explode and regret it later. The Sigma channels it and then moves forward. That's the difference between spending energy and investing it. And while all of this is happening, something activates inside the Sigma that makes him more formidable than ever. Number 10. He becomes more observant and analytical than ever, contrary to what you might expect. Anger doesn't make the Sigma more impulsive. It makes him more focused. It's almost as if emotional intensity activates a part of his mind that normally operates at a lower speed, sharpening his ability to observe and analyze to levels he might not otherwise reach. He notices every detail, every micro-expression, every inconsistency between what a person says and how they say it. He identifies patterns that might normally go unnoticed. He connects information from past conversations with what he is seeing in the present. And he builds a complete picture, not from emotion, but from cold logic that, strangely enough, becomes even more accessible when he's angry. That may sound contradictory, but for the Sigma, anger doesn't cloud his judgment. It sharpens it, because he doesn't allow emotion to take the wheel. Emotion gives him energy, but reason gives him direction. And that combination of emotional intensity and cold analysis may be the most terrifying thing of all that a Sigma man does when he is truly angry. The Sigma man isn't dangerous because he's aggressive. He's dangerous precisely because he isn't. Because while you're waiting for the explosion, he's silently calculating. While you're waiting for the drama, he has already made his decision. While you think you've won, he has already walked away to build something better. The Sigma's anger doesn't destroy, it transforms. And that silent transformation, the one no one sees while it's happening, is exactly what makes him so difficult to bring down. Don't provoke him if you're not prepared for the version of him that emerges on the other side.